space to practice, to learn, to grow, to apply our mind. And as we light this incense, may we also light our aspiration to open the heart and deepen the mind and transform suffering, not only for ourselves, but for all. So a deep bow to everyone who is here in attendance. I want to thank you all for giving me this really nourishing opportunity to teach, to share my experience about Zen, about meditation, and we will keep this as simple and practical as possible, as an introduction to Zen meditation. I was inspired to host this class or this event after coming across a Buddhist meme from a Zen Center in New Mexico, which is actually where I got my start on the Buddhist path. That is their, I think it's the name that they have for it is their meditation instruction meme. And I saw this and I thought it would be a really great framework for us to work with in deepening our practice, but also how we share that practice with others, how we explain it, how we understand it in a simple and practical way. Not many people have the good conditions to try meditation. So if we are here and just in our lives in general, if we have the good fortune, the good conditions to come across the teachings or to be connected to a framework of mind that is open to practicing meditation or looking deeply, right? In a general sense, we can be grateful. We can feel blessed. Actually, there's a kind of peace just in recognizing that we may not be expert meditators. We may not be very successful in our spiritual path, whatever that might mean to you. But we do have this connection to practice and the opportunity to practice. And just that, I find in myself, even just thinking about meditating can sometimes give me a bit of relief, a bit of peace, knowing that I have the connection to the practice, even if I'm not practicing exactly how I would like to at any particular time. Whether we are new to meditation or we are an old head, experienced with the practice, it is always good to approach the path with a beginner's mind, to approach this present moment, to approach our journey with a mind that is fresh and open and curious, rather than a mind that is rigid and stuck in particular views or values, right? But we are open. We are always a beginner in each and every breath, each and every moment. So with all of that said, how do we meditate? How do we practice Zen meditation? I put a title in one of the places where this stream is, American Detachment Meditation. How do we practice that according to this Buddhist meme that I came across? That's very wonderful. And if you would like a copy of this image, you can join our Discord, and it's shared in the announcements channel. And it'll be nice to have it with you as a reminder about what is this spiritual path, right? How do we approach it? First and foremost, we approach this moment, this life, as a meditator. For whatever reason, we want to try this. We want to have an experience of meditation. So, number one in this Buddhist meme says to settle the posture. Gather your attention and settle into a posture that supports your practice. So already we have an opportunity to simplify and stabilize our life situation. We're not thinking about the past or the future. We're not thinking about some kind of spiritual attainment, but we step into our meditation practice. We step into our way by first looking at the posture, finding a posture for meditation. Now, some traditions emphasize this more, so like sitting in a yogic position, or your legs crossed in a certain way, or sitting with your hands in a certain mudra, right, a certain way of holding your hands. But we gather our attention, we bring our attention to the body, and then we find a posture, a way of sitting, a way of being that supports our practice. And it is most often very supportive to be upright. So sitting cross-legged or sitting in a chair with your feet flat, your shoulders back, your head is upright, your back is somewhat straight, you feel supported, and often using a cushion, so like a meditation cushion or just a folded pillow, and kind of sitting your butt on that, and then crossing your legs and have a straight back, your head upright. It's also very supportive to sit in a firm couch or a firm lounge chair of some sort, where you can really scoot back so that your butt is kind of supported and your back is upright, your shoulders are stable. You're in a settled posture, a gathered posture that's really supportive to attentiveness or being there, showing up to this experience, right? And immediately when we focus on our posture, we detach from whatever else we were doing with our body. Now we're using the body for meditation, rather than all these stories and ideas we have about our body, these judgments that we may have, but we're using the body for meditation. So first and foremost, settle the posture. Find that comfortable, stable, and I'll say upright posture. It's going to support this practice. Does anyone have any questions about the number one on our Buddhist meme about posture, finding a posture to sit in when we start a meditation practice? And I will say to see your meditation as a way of doing good deeds, or a way of attending to, a way of taking care, a way of being with, a way of showing up, really being there. Don't see it as this thing that you're going to do to develop yourself spiritually. That's a horrible trap to be in. Meditation needs to be a joy. It needs to be a freedom. It needs to be an awakening. Right? We practice meditation as an act of generosity, so approach it that way. But does anyone have any questions about this posture, settling the posture, or finding a posture for meditation? And don't be shy, practical question or any question about that.
Do we sit upright to prevent us from falling asleep?
Well, it's more like this is the important work to be done, right? So do we sit upright or do we sit in a certain way to prevent falling asleep? We want to sit in a way that is supportive for us to really be here, to really be in the here and the now, to settle into the presence of our body. So it could be laying down. It could be standing up with a relaxed body. But oftentimes it's to sit in a comfortable, stable position. And what should we do with our hands? Well, don't be like Will Ferrell in Talladega Nights, right? It's nothing to be confused about. Put your hands in your lap. Put your hands on your knees. Right now we can kind of hold our hands like this in a mudra or something like that, but it's a little bit difficult to convey this kind of stuff online, through audio video. So just suffice to say, put your hands in your lap, or it can be very nice to put your hands on your knees, right, and even support your posture quite a bit like that if you just put your hands down on your knees.
I have a question.
Okay.
Um, what are things that you find are useful to keep yourself from getting distracted during meditation?
Approach meditation as exploration. I don't know who I am. I don't know what's going on outside this room. I don't know what it's like to be in North Korea. Most people don't know what it's like to be in another country or around people who speak a language that you don't speak. Mostly we don't know. Most everything we don't know. So what is this die-hard fixation that we have with knowing? And this kind of confidence about knowing, this confidence about being ignorant. We don't know. You don't know what's happening right now, right? You don't know about this language, that language, outside your room, etc. So meditation, it's like really cool. It's like really unknown. It's stepping into the unknown. It's stepping into a place of exploration. It's stepping into a place of, wow, I don't know, and I'm going to take a look. See what's kind of going on here. See what this is about. And it's with that curiosity, that openness, that exploration, that the kind of you have the generosity, or you have the openness to like humor that feeling, to put up with that feeling, to say, wait a minute, I don't know everything. And if we're really honest, we can say, I don't know myself. I don't know who I really am, who I truly am. And from that place of not being so fixed, we're naturally curious, right? We're naturally curious about our heart, our breathing, our body, our presence, right? So curiosity, breathing, and just this openness, right? This openness to the unknownness that is so vividly here. Not locked into this constant, it's this way, it's that way, it's like this, it's like that. Well, I don't know how it is. I don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, really. So when I feel that, I'm curious about this experience. I'm curious about the body. I'm curious about the mind, but not through the lens of thinking, through the lens of looking or being with. And of course, we can practice meditation when we walk or when we lay down or when we take a bath or a shower, when we're eating. But keep that mind of curiosity and kind of looking more deeply at your experience as it's happening, moment by moment. Is that okay, Coda? Does that resonate?
So you're saying that rather than try to avoid the distractions, you want us to pay attention to our surroundings?
Pay attention to your inner surroundings, but pay attention to them in a way of just experiencing it. That it's you experience something, but you don't take that to be the full story. And a lot of what we experience there is no story to it. All right, my heart beating right now, you can experiment with this also. You can take your hand and put it over your heart, Coda. Can you feel your heart beating?
Yeah.
Is that important? Is your heart important?
Yeah.
Is your heart like cool stuff, or is it news, or is it politics, or is it some kind of drama, or can you sum up the heart in words and phrases?
Um,
Can you
I mean,
storyfy the heart? Maybe you can, but that's not the heart, is it?
right.
And each moment, each beat is life, is direct experience. So our meditation is to look into direct experiencing.
I understand. Thank you.
And to be willing and open to getting caught up, to getting lost in the mind, and then coming back to what? Coming back to that direct experiencing. And certainly that direct experience of whatever comes up, but not getting stuck in whatever comes up, going back to that direct experiencing. The breath breathing, the heart beating. And the curiosity is really what's going to carry us forward, right? We're kind of like a donkey, and this donkey needs to be used because we're human and we want to be free. We don't want to be trapped. We want to end suffering, not perpetuate it, right? So this donkey has a carrot in front of its head. And so that donkey keeps following that carrot, keeps searching after that delicious carrot, right? So it keeps going the right way. And we also have to be like that donkey. We have to be curious about what's in front of us. We have to be curious about this direct experiencing, to keep looking, 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 looking. And it is kind of out of reach because it's always changing, isn't it? It's so dynamic, it's so alive. So replace your intellectual confidence or your intellectual authority, your authority of thinking, with curiosity and exploration into the present moment experience, but especially experience of the body. And this relates to intention. The curiosity will keep us practicing. Does someone else have a question? Specifically about the posture, finding that posture that is simple, stable, upright, supports our practice. Go ahead, Yazin.
Hi. Regarding the distractions thing, I'm always a person that's constantly distracted, and I always try to meditate in a way to avoid those distractions. But recently, I learned that instead of like trying to avoid those distractions, how about I explore those distractions instead? Because they are constantly in front of me always, whenever I'm walking, whenever I'm doing anything. constantly in this daydreaming state. So instead of like trying to avoid it, I would try to explore it instead. And I was wondering if that's kind of like on the right track of what you were saying exactly. Just be in a posture, explore what comes, and not try to what uh force something else that's not coming towards me.
Yeah, we don't need force. We need curiosity. We need to apply a little bit of effort, but that's more the effort to respect our curiosity. We're not trying to get anything, not trying to fix or change anything in a particular way. We're curious about this experience. We're curious about reality, about life. And that is including our distractions. But if we don't have tools, if we don't have a way of kind of taking a bite out of that distraction or those thoughts, rather than those thoughts taking a bite out of us, if we don't have a tool, if we don't have something to make us strong to bite that distraction, then we will be bitten by, we will be controlled by, we will be constantly influenced by those distractions. So our breathing, right? Our breathing is a tool. All right, let's go to to number 2 on our Buddhist meme. Cultivate an unselfish motivation. Recall your intention to awaken in order to serve others. All right, so our motivation here is for all. We bring up a motivation that's not just about me, I, but it's a motivation that recognizes the interconnectedness of your being, right? How did you get here? Because of so many people that supported your life up to this point, right? And how are you going to move forward in your life in a meaningful way? Well, it's by being in relationship with all kinds of people, isn't it? So our motivation for practice isn't just fixated on ourselves, but it's concerned with the whole. You know, why do I want to develop freedom? Why do I want to develop happiness? Why do I want to know my true self, know about reality? For all, for my loved ones, for my community, for everyone. And to serve others, to support others, to be involved in this life, not just be a spectator. And it kind of puts you in that place of responsibility as well. It's not just all about you. And if it was, even if it could be, that wouldn't be a wonderful, meaningful life. If it's just all about you, all about myself. So bring about a motivation that is expansive, inclusive. It's not just about you. I'm here to meditate. No, you're here to benefit all beings. And you can have that motivation. You can have that intention. It's accessible. So you bring that up. You bring up that intention to awaken, that intention to free yourself so that you can serve and help others. That's number 2. And it also ties in with just the generosity and the opening and the sharing out of this practice. The expansiveness of this practice, where it's not just about ourselves, but it's about benefiting all. We meditate for all. Any questions about this? So we settle the posture, find our meditation position, and then we bring about an unselfish motivation, right? To practice for all, to be mindful for all. And this at the beginning may be a little bit small. So it may be a particular loved one, someone who's suffering, someone who's confused, a parent, one of our ancestors who had difficulty. And so we say, oh, I'm practicing to help them as well. I'm not just here for myself. I'm here for the others as well. All right. So let's go on to number 3. Attention on the breath. Stabilizing attention to cultivate attentional balance and concentration. Attention on the breath. Stabilizing attention to cultivate attentional balance and concentration. We are always breathing, and the breath is worth more to us, literally, moment by moment. The breath is worth more to us than $100,000 cash. All right, or $100,000 in gold bullion or something like that. This breath and every breath, the preceding breath, the next breath, this breath is literally worth more, has more value to you as you are right now than $100,000 cash or gold bullion. So understanding that, at least technically, right, that you wouldn't trade your capacity to breathe for any amount of money, really. This is a constant point of value or preciousness in our experience. And we can easily and naturally bring the mind, bring our awareness, collect our attention onto the breath. This is a fundamental part of the meditation practice. This is what we usually hear, right? Focus on the breath, focus on the breath. And it's true. We place our attention on the breath, following it as it flows in, following it as it flows out. But I like the term to be with the breath. Breathe as deeply as you need to, as you like to. Experiment with breathing. Be intimate with breathing. Just breathe, right? Connect with breathing. And naturally, when you do that, thoughts will come up, feelings in the body will come up, and then you tune in again to this $100,000 deposit in your account, and you receive it, you accept it, you digest it. And naturally, you will be with, you will give your attention, and you will balance yourself on that which is precious, that which is valuable. We're not going to balance ourselves on that which is unimportant to us, right? So we balance ourselves on the breathing, and we learn how to stabilize our attention, to connect our mind and body with the breathing, our awareness of breathing. And we do it any time, right? Attention on the breath. So these 3, so there's 6 in total, 6 parts in this meme, or 6 aspects to it. But these 3, this is what the practice looks like. So don't be shy about practicing like this. You find a comfortable posture. Maybe you go outside, or you start walking even. Maybe it's walking meditation time, or it's laying in the grass posture time. But you settle the posture. You find the posture that's going to support your practice. Bring up that unselfish motivation so that you practice for all, to help all. And then you just place the attention on the breath. And you stabilize your attention. You balance your attention, your concentration on breathing. And it is a vulnerable place. It is an intimate place. Just putting your attention on the breathing and being with it. It doesn't matter how you're breathing. It doesn't matter if it's deep or shallow. It doesn't matter. Manual breathing doesn't matter. All of that fades away because you're being with the breath. You are breathing. And when there's any kind of lostness or unbalancedness, you come back to that being with the breathing. Relaxing the body, being with the breathing. Okay, questions about attention on the breath? Or maybe an experience you have about your attempts to practice with that. Jeff says, Jeff who's watching through TikTok says, through the nose or the mouth, it doesn't matter. Just be with the breathing. Breathe the breathing. The Jeff that says, should I breathe through my nose or my mouth? Breathe, breathing. Come back to breathing, breathing. Breathe through your ears. Just breathe, breathing. Moon, did you have a question on this? Anyone have a question on attention on the breath? So we will go to the next. And Jordan, why don't you share your question if you still have it? Maybe at the end then. So number 4, all right, we're sitting there. We've got an unselfish motivation. So we're not trapped in this idea of, I want to get to this next level of meditation. I want to be arahat, or I want to get to the first jhana, or I want to get special concentration. We're not locked into that because actually our aspiration is to awaken, to become free for all, to help all, to serve others, not to have some experience for our own selfish motivation, self-fixated motivation. So we've got a settled posture, got an unselfish motivation, and we are breathing in and breathing out. And naturally, when the mind wanders, and there are different techniques we can use, but understand the principle is most important and have that deep intention. When the mind wanders, come back to that intention on the breath. Don't worry about meditating for a particular period of time. That's just a gimmick. That's just a game. Sells apps, sells meditation retreats or something like that. This breath is the practice. This moment is the practice. Attention on the breath. Stabilizing the mind. Balance and concentration. Just breathing. And feel it. So number 4 of our Buddhist meme. As appropriate, notice the arising and passing of phenomena, impermanence, selflessness, insight. Okay? So when our mind is attenuated to being balanced and aware, balanced and concentrated, we can see very clearly that mental formations come up, can be very strong mental formations, views, ideas, can be sounds, hallucinations, can be all kinds of things, very strong or light. Mental formations come up, and guess what? They disappear. Where do they arise from? Nowhere. Where do they disappear to? Nowhere. That's a reality. That's the impermanence, right? So when we are aware and brightly looking and watching, and we see phenomena, we see a physical sensation in the body, a strong one or a small one. We see a big thought or a little thought come up and disappear and go away. We experience it. Okay? We also have a kind of an overarching sense of presence. So we are very present, we are very aware, and yet our self-experience is not in any way a story. Our self-experience, our clarity, our presence, and our awareness is showing us this selflessness, the illusory nature, the impermanent nature of identifying with phenomena, temporary phenomena, thoughts, feelings, stories, beliefs that come up and quickly pass away. So as appropriate, as you are able, as it comes naturally, noticing the arising and passing of phenomena. Anyone have question about this? Noticing the arising and passing away of phenomena? And how this may connect to selflessness or non-self? So in Buddhism, we don't say that there is not an appearance of a self. Sure, there's an appearance of a self. Movies are very convincing, right? But what's underneath that? When we look closely, when we look clearly, when we are balanced and concentrated, right? What do we see? Is it a movie, or is it a vivid, direct experience of phenomena arising and passing away? So as appropriate, we notice that, and our insight will deepen. When you see a great big thought, maybe it's a great big positive thought or a great big negative thought, a great state of fear, of complicatedness, of confusion, right? Arise, and it's really there, and you're really aware, and you're really going through it, and you watch it disappear. You watch it vanish. Where did it come from? Where did it go to? Is it here now? No, it's not. So our insight deepens when we have these experiences, right? Our insight means the dust that is not in our eyes. Go ahead.
Talk about things like, I guess, more persistent, strong sensations like chronic pain or hunger. I guess, how do we apply these principles to more challenging or difficult sensations like that?
We don't add extra layers of difficulty onto them. We dare to see them as they are. And that's our practice, right? Actually, you are pointing to those particular sensations or experiences as being unsatisfactory and therefore more difficult to practice with, or so, maybe it's a barrier, or it's something we have to is difficult to work with, right? But the reality is that all these phenomena, all these experiences, whether they're pleasurable, whether we like them, whether we don't like them, are by nature unsatisfactory, by nature impermanent. And so that sensation that you're pointing to is also by nature impermanent. But we have to have the gall, the wherewithal to face, to endure, to be with that feeling and that experience. That is how we gain the insight into the true nature of that experience, which is impermanence, which is the arising and passing away of sensations. Not even that they are pleasurable or unpleasurable. They are just sensations. But it takes time. And so Ajahn Brahm, he talks about not just mindfulness, not just sitting there and breathing and being aware of those sensations, because we've got to breathe. I mean, so why not? Let's use it. But he calls it kindfulness. So we meditate for periods of time, sometimes as an exercise. But meditation is not about a period of time, but sometimes as an exercise or as a practice or as a form, we meditate for a particular period of time. So this certainly applies to that, but also in general. We are aware of those sensations that may be very difficult, really troublesome, really worrisome, right? And chronic pain is not just about the body, it's also about the mind. There's a lot of people who have chronic pain of the mind, which takes all kinds of different forms. And these can also be related, the mind and the body and chronic pain, discomfort. So we apply this kindfulness. We dare to look very closely at it, to be with it very deeply, and also we offer kindness to it. Right? And certainly looking into alternative ways of therapy or healing, deep tissue massage, sauna, taking care of our health, stretching. There's all kinds of different ways that we can work with this pain. But the sicker you are, the more willing you need to be to get involved in treatment. And actually, when we start to practice on this path, when we start to show up for ourselves, it becomes more accessible to take care of ourselves in all kinds of different ways. But it applies the same. You just may need to bring an extra layer of gentleness and patience and kindness to that experience. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And don't get discouraged. It's surprising, but sometimes our difficulties, our failures, our losses, our pains, right, that thing that makes us worse off is actually a gift. It actually sets us to be in a better position to practice on this path and stay motivated, stay involved, not just for ourselves, but for all. Okay. So as appropriate, noticing the arising and passing of phenomena. Zen says they find being mindful of pain makes it a little bit less painful. Step by step, little bit by little bit, let the light come in. Don't discredit the cracks. Don't discredit the failures. Don't discredit the lack of perfection, because that's how the mindfulness gets in deep. That's how the practice heals deeply, because we're not perfect. There's not this perfect sheen or shield over our body and mind that we can rely on. There are cracks, there are mistakes, there are these deep sufferings that flow through us. And even a moment of mindfulness, a moment of awareness, a moment of light that we can offer to those cracks, that's the practice, that's the joy, that's the healing right there. Okay, so how do we meditate? How do we approach meditation, Zen meditation, from this Buddhist meme? Firstly, settle the posture. Gather your attention, settle into a posture that supports your practice. Walking meditation is great, so get your shoes on and find a good place to walk. Number 2, cultivate an unselfish motivation. So we're not just practicing for ourselves, and we're not practicing to get some special experience, but we're actually practicing, our motivation is to wake up, to be free, to end our suffering, and to help others, to awaken in order to serve others, to free oneself in order to bring benefit to others. It's a beautiful motivation to have. So cultivate that, bring that up, bring that mind up. Number 3, place our attention on the breath, right? Being with the breath, breathing in, I know I am breathing in, and you can say that. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. And yeah, when the mind wanders, when you get caught up in something, when you need to change your posture because your body hurts, well, what do? You come back to being with the breathing, attention on the breath, stabilizing the mind, simplifying the mind, bringing a sense of kindness and openness to the mind with the breath, right? Attention on the breath. Number 4, as appropriate or as comes naturally, notice the arising and passing of phenomena, impermanence, selflessness. Notice the temporariness that is at the nature of all phenomena. So even though these experiences come up, mental experiences, and we point up here, but the mind is everything, everywhere, right? It's not just in our brain. So mental experiences come up, and guess what? They're sure to go away. They are unreliable. They are unsatisfactory. Physical experiences such as pain or pleasure or boredom go away, not reliable, right? It's like you go to the store. Somebody gave you for your birthday $1,000, and you say, I need to get the newest phone. I'm going to Apple, or I'm going to the Samsung store, or whatever. I need to get the newest phone. You go there and you go up to the desk and you say, hey, I need the best phone you got, And they tell you, all right, well, this is the best phone we have, and it's going to break, and you can't rely on it. It's just temporary. That's how it's designed, or that it is its nature to be temporary. Are you going to buy that phone? Are you going to take refuge or rely on that phone? No, you're going to say, what are you talking about? I'm going to go over there where that person says it's reliable. This phone's not going to break on me. Well, guess what? All of these phenomena are temporary. It doesn't mean we're not mindful of them. It doesn't mean we don't offer kindness to those temporary phenomena and gentleness and patience. But we don't lose ourselves in the appearance of any particular phenomena. We understand that thoughts come up and they go away. They are not real or true or fixed. The same with experiences we have in the body. They are temporary. We don't lose ourselves in grasping onto those temporary experiences. Sights, sounds, feelings. So as comes naturally, notice that arising and passing away of phenomena. Number 5, when concentration is very stable, the attentional field opens to choiceless awareness, shikantaza, just sitting. We've talked about this a lot in our group, right? Just sitting. Just breathing. Our awareness, our mind, our presence, it opens up. We're not meditating. We're not meditators. We're not trying to improve ourselves. We're not trying to fix anything. And this happens naturally. But we keep ourselves open to that openness from the very start. No struggle, no fight, no forced labors to put ourselves through. We've got enough of that. When concentration is very stable, the attentional field opens to choiceless awareness, just sitting. And then finally, number 6, which is a beautiful practice, and we've done here quite a few times, dedication of merit. So we offer whatever good has arisen from our practice, whatever benefits have come about, whatever healing, whatever freedom has come through us through the practice, we offer to others. We offer to everyone. So that is our Buddhist Meme 2.0. That is our American Detachment Meditation, Introduction to Zen Meditation. And I encourage everyone to be open to integrating practices like this into your life, because when we exercise this practice, we can more easily integrate it into our normal activity, right? The effortless mindfulness, the effortless freedom from thoughts. So for those who would like to have this image and have it around and take a look at it, please join our Discord server. And I thank you all for being here. We'll open the space up now for question and answer and sharing experience. And please do feel welcome to ask any question that you may have. And especially feel welcome that this is a space where we can practice. Thank you. Sometimes when we practice meditation, when we start and focusing on the breathing, there are different kinds of tightness or feelings that come up along with the body and our breathing. So a very simple practice is to practice non-judgment with those feelings. Your stomach is tight or your breathing is deep or shallow. There's no judgment. There's just a being with that experience of breathing. Yeah, go ahead.
Could you say something a little bit more about, I think it was the number 3, the uh, having an intention to serve others, and the kind of contrast that with like self-neglect or like self-harm, or not self-harm, but like uh, being taken advantage of, or uh, uh, like how can you draw those boundaries, um, and what's the, if I'm meditating only to serve other people, then like where do I fit into the picture? Where does my well-being fit into the picture?
Your well-being is the practice. So it says here is the number 2 in this Buddhist meme. Cultivate an unselfish motivation. Recall your intention to awaken in order to serve others. Your intention to awaken. Recall your intention to be free. Recall your intention to end suffering in order to serve others. So the awakened mindset, the way of simplicity and solidity and awareness, has nothing to do with being subject to manipulation or being easily led along. You understand?
Yes.
It's we develop wealth, okay? When we practice meditation seriously and when we walk on the Buddhist path, right, and have some success, we go from being hopeless and helpless to being healthy and wealthy, in terms of the mind especially. So with that health and wealth, you don't just do it for yourself to feed your ego, but you do it to serve others, to help, to offer, right, to share, to do good. It's got nothing to do with being run over by other people. It is antithetical to a mind that is easily tricked or led along or convinced to do things. So we have to cultivate that mind of solidity, of balance, of presence, of concentration, right? And find more opportunities to be generous so that when someone comes along to quote unquote take advantage of you, you're not confused about generosity, right? You don't conflate being a good person, doing good deeds, being generous with being submissive to the desires of someone, because these two things just are not the same. Do you want to say anything more about your thinking on this, or your lack of understanding about this?
Well, I come from a perspective of having a lot of kind of bad relations with people in this regard, having found myself out of desperation, having been manipulated at various times, when I thought that my intention was to, be of service to others, and it was only after the fallout and in hindsight that I was able to see that I had been taken advantage of. So I feel kind of prone to that kind of mistake.
Well, that's okay. Just understand that generosity is not doing what others want. That is not generosity. That has nothing to do with generosity. Doing what other people want you to do is more of like a personal confusion or involvement, or like an interpersonal relationship. Generosity is not an interpersonal relationship. It's got nothing to do with that. You see a homeless person, and let's say they're the ideal homeless person. Actually, generosity is generosity. Just be generous, just do good deeds. But let's say it's the ideal homeless person. They're worthy of some donation or some support, right? And you give them a sandwich, or you give them some money, or you offer something to them. You support them, right? Are you in an interpersonal relationship with them? Are their desires important to you? No. You just do actions of generosity. It's like a teacher and students. Is a teacher's work to be in an interpersonal relationship with the students? No. A teacher's role is to teach. And that relationship is the relationship of teacher and student, more so than it is interpersonal. It's beyond interpersonal. So don't get yourself in weird relationships with people who want you to fulfill their desires. That is not a good idea, for sure. Be very careful. But when we go through these kinds of sufferings, these kinds of difficulties, it shows us like, yeah, let's practice seriously. Let's really get into this. Let's commit ourselves. Let's go beyond plus ultra. And you learn from that experience through experience, not through developing some philosophy about it. This serving others is an offering, a sharing out from our place of balanced concentration, from our place of independence, not from our place of transaction, any kind of transaction. People will want things from us if we want things from them. If we don't want anything from them, then they will be free to not want anything from us. So somehow the difficulties we find ourselves in the world are expressions of the difficulties we have in our mind. They inter-are. They're not separate, moment by moment. Anything else, Jonathan?
No, that was very clear.
Yeah, and be patient with yourself. You know, we have to kind of fall on our face to realize how important it is to walk carefully, very carefully, and to not let that difficulty discourage us from being a good person, discourage us from being generous or being wonderful or helping. It's just we had to learn to stop and look more deeply right now. And in that way, we can be grateful for those suffering, those confusion, those mistake. Yezen, do you want to ask a question?
Yes. I just want to share my perspective regarding that,
Great.
my interpretation of the text. The way I think about it is that um, I don't consider myself separate from others. I'm not like some separate entity from the rest of the world. I'm a part of the world. And so when I'm being kind to others, I'm being kind to myself. So it's always good to um, try to be connected with everything, be kind to everybody, including myself. Um, I'm not like a separate entity from them, and I would never consider myself uh, that way. Otherwise, I would put all my burden uh, on myself. Do you have any insight regarding that? Do I have the right idea here?
Well, it's beautiful, Yezen. It's a good understanding. All right. So I think we'll finish here, dear friends, and we can all bring our hands together and share the merit. We had about a 2-hour session, a little bit more than 2 hours earlier in the afternoon. And now we're finishing this 1-hour gathering, meditative gathering and instruction on just the simple basics of meditation. And through those practices, whatever good has arisen from these practices, we can dedicate and share that out for all. So I invite everyone to bring their hands together, and you can also unmute your microphone so you can repeat after me. May all the merits that we have done till now,
May all the
May all
merits
the merits that we have
that
done
we've
till
done till
now,
now,
whatever good has arisen from this practice,
whatever
whatever
good
good
has arisen
from
from
this
this
practice,
practice,
be offered and shared out
be offered
be
and
offered
shared
and
out
shared out
towards all beings.
towards
towards
all
all
beings.
beings.
May all aspects of myself
May
May
all
all
aspects of
aspects of
myself
myself
and all aspects of the others
and all
and all
aspects of the
aspects of the
others
others
rejoice in these merits.
rejoice in these
rejoice in these
merits.
merits.
May it be, may it
May it
be,
be,
may it truly be. Thank you. See you again soon.
thank you.